Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good morning to madam. My name is Nurujana binti Muhammad Noor and I'm from PAKK1182. So today I will presenting my instructional strategy for teaching English in a bilingual and multilingual early childhood education classroom. So the instructional strategy that I have chosen is translanguaging. In today's Malaysia classrooms, children come from diverse linguistic backgrounds. Some children speak Bahasa Melayu at home, while others speak Mandarin, Tamil, Iban, Kadazan, or other indigenous languages. When they enter preschool, they are also expected to learn English as an additional language. As a future early childhood educators, our role is not only to teach English, but also to create an inclusive learning environment where every child's language and culture are respected. Instead of viewing children's home language as obstacle, we should see them as valuable resources that support learning. Translanguaging is an effective strategy in bilingual and multilingual classroom. So today, I will explain its concept and theoretical foundation. Then I will demonstrate a preschool language activity and discuss the issues and solutions in using multicultural literary resources. So now, let's look at the meaning of translanguaging. What is translanguaging? According to Brassia and Way, translanguaging is an approach that allows multilingual learners to use all the languages they know to communicate, construct meaning, and learn new knowledge. Unlike traditional language teaching, which often requires children to use only English, translanguaging recognizes that children's language work together rather than separately. This means children are free to use their home language while gradually developing English. So for the example, imagine I show a picture of a rabbit to the children and ask them, "What animal is this?" And a child may answer, "Arnab." Instead of saying, "No, speak English," I would respond, "Excellent, yes, is it a rabbit?" By doing this, I acknowledge the child's first language while introducing the English vocabulary naturally. Children feel accepted because their home language is respected. At the same time, they are learning new English words in a meaningful context. So, that is why translanguaging has become an effective instructional strategy in bilingual and multilingual classrooms. In today's presentation, I will first explain the concept of translanguaging, followed by its theoretical foundation. Then I will demonstrate a language activity suitable for preschool children, and finally discuss the issues and possible solutions when using multicultural literary resources. To understand why translanguaging is effective, let's look at the two important learning theories. First, Vygotsky's sociocultural theory explains that children learn through social interaction with teachers, parents, and peers. In addition, Vygotsky introduced the Zone of Proximal Development (ZPD), which refers to what children can achieve with guidance. In a translanguaging classroom, teachers provide scaffolding. For example, if a child says "kucing tidur," the teacher responds, "Yes, the cat is sleeping." Rather than simply translating, the teacher expands the child's language by introducing correct English while building on existing knowledge. As a result, children become more confident in using English independently. Next, Cummins' Common Underlying Proficiency (CUP) theory explains that languages are interconnected, so skills learned in one language can transfer to another. Alright, for the example, if a child already knows apple in Bahasa Melayu, learning the English word apple becomes easier because the concept is already understood. Therefore, the first language is not a barrier but a strong foundation for learning English. Overall, these theories show that translanguaging builds on children's existing knowledge, strengthens language development, and creates a supportive classroom where every child feels confident to participate. Now that we understand the concept and theoretical foundation of translanguaging, let's look at why this strategy is effective in bilingual and multilingual early childhood education classroom. The first benefit is that translanguaging reduces children's language anxiety. Many preschool children are afraid of speaking English because they worry about making mistakes. If teachers insist that children use only English, some children may become silent or avoid participating in classroom activities. However, translanguaging creates a supportive learning environment where children feel safe to express their ideas, feelings using their home language. Teachers also guide them by introducing English vocabulary naturally and encouraging children to use simple English words or phrases. As a result, children become more confident because they know how that making mistakes is part of the learning process. This positive approach increases their willingness to participate in discussions, answer questions, and communicate with both teachers and classmates. So for the second benefit is that translanguaging improves listening and speaking skills. Children are regularly exposed to English while still being able to rely on their first language for understanding. They listen to the teacher's English model and gradually repeat new words and simple sentences. Over time, through songs, storytelling, classroom conversations, and interactive activities, children improve their pronunciations, sentence formation, and conversational skills. The more opportunities they have to hear and use English in meaningful situations, the more confident they become in communicating. Another important benefit is vocabulary development. Children connect new English words with words they already know in their first language. For example, when a child already knows the word apple in Bahasa Melayu, it becomes easier to learn the English word apple. Similarly, if a child understands arnab, they can quickly associate it with rabbit. This process of making connections between languages strengthens memory, deepens understanding, and helps children retain new vocabulary more effectively. Finally, translanguaging creates an inclusive classroom where every child's language and culture are respected. Instead of viewing different languages as problems, teachers recognize them as valuable learning resources. Consequently, children feel accepted, respect, and appreciate regardless of their linguistic background. This not only strengthens their sense of belonging but also encourages positive interactions from different cultures. As a result, children become more motivated to participate, collaborate with others, and develop both their language skills and social confidence in a supportive learning environment. Overall, translanguaging supports children's cognitive, linguistic, social, and emotional development. It helps children learn English in a natural and meaningful way while valuing the languages they already know. Therefore, it is an effective strategy for promoting active participation, language growth, and inclusive learning in early childhood education classroom. Now, I would like to demonstrate a language activity that applies translanguaging in a preschool classroom. The activity is shared reading using a picture storybook about animals. For the learning objectives are to develop children's listening skills, encourage speaking in English, introduce new vocabulary, and build confidence in communication. The materials needed are a picture storybook, animal flashcard, and picture cards. First, I showed the picture book to children and asked them to observe the illustrations. To activate their prior knowledge, I will ask kids, can you see these animals? Or, what kind animal is this? And a child may answer, arnab. Instead of correcting the child, I respond positively. Very good. Yes, is it a rabbit? So this validates the child's first language while naturally introducing the English vocabulary. I then encourage the whole class to repeat rabbit. This helps children connect their home language with English in a meaningful and supportive way. For the step 2, I will ask these questions. Next, I continue reading through story and ask simple comprehension questions. For example, I may ask, what is the rabbit doing? Then they may answer makan, and I will respond, excellent, yes, the rabbit is eating. Then I encourage the whole class to repeat, the rabbit is eating. In this way, children first express their ideas using a familiar language before learning the correct English sentence. This allows them to hear accurate English sentence structures while feeling confident to participate. For the step 3, vocabulary reinforcement. Then I use flashcards to reinforce the vocabulary introduced in a story. I may show the rabbit flashcard and ask them, who can tell me the English word of this animal? And the children may answer rabbit. Then I show another animal, such as a cat. Then I will ask them, what is this, kid? If a children answers kucing, I will respond, yes, correctly. This is a cat. Again, I am not rejecting the child's home language. Instead, I use it as a bridge to English. By connecting familiar words with new English vocabulary, children are more likely to remember and use the new words confidently. And the last one is classroom interaction. Finally, I invite the children to repeat the English words together. For example, I may say rabbit and the children will say rabbit, and I say cat, they will say cat. Then I praise them by saying excellent and well done, guys. Positive reinforcement encourages children to participate confidently. So this activity develops children's listening and speaking skills, expands their English vocabulary, and improves pronunciation, and most importantly, it builds confidence and creates a supportive environment where children enjoy learning English without fear of making mistakes. Although multicultural literary resources provide many benefits, there are also several challenges when implementing translanguaging in bilingual and multilingual classrooms. The first challenge is the limited availability of quality bilingual and multilingual storybooks. Some schools may not have enough books to represent different languages and cultures. The second challenge is teachers' confidence. Some teachers may feel unsure about allowing children to use multiple languages because they worry it will reduce English learning. The third challenge comes from parents, that is parents' perceptions. Some parents believe that children should speak only English, thinking that using their home language will slow English development. However, research suggests that maintaining children's first language actually supports additional language learning by strengthening their overall language foundation. To address this challenge, teachers can use bilingual or multicultural picture books, create simple multilingual teaching materials, and collaborate closely with parents to explain the benefits of translanguaging. Technology can also support this approach. Teachers can use digital storybook, QR code linked to audio stories, word wall games, or short educational videos to make learning more engaging and interactive. In this way, teachers can create an inclusive classroom where every child's language and culture are respected while still promoting English language development. In conclusion, translanguaging is an effective instructional strategy for teaching English in bilingual and multilingual early childhood education classroom. Instead of viewing children's home languages as barriers, translanguaging recognizes them as valuable resources that support English language learning. By allowing children to draw on all the languages they know, teachers create a safe, inclusive, and meaningful learning environment. Through activities such as shared reading, storytelling, picture talk, and role play, children improve their listening and speaking skill, expand their English vocabulary, and develop greater confidence in communication. At the same time, multicultural literary resources help children appreciate different cultures and languages and traditions. These resources promote respect, empathy, and a sense of belonging, which are essential values in today's diverse classroom. As a future early childhood educators, we should embrace children's linguistic diversity and use it as a strength rather than seeing it as a challenge. By combining translanguaging with engaging teaching strategies and technology, we can create meaningful learning experiences that support children's language development while celebrating their identities. So, that's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and a very good day to my lecturer and friends. First of all, my name is Nurul Anis Nabila binti Mazni, and today I will presenting about share reading, enhancing reading and vocabulary in a bilingual or multilingual early childhood education classroom. This presentation focuses on the strategy of teaching English in a bilingual and multilingual early childhood education classroom. In today's classroom, children come from different language backgrounds. Some children may speak their mother tongue at home, while English is introduced as a second or additional language in school. Therefore, teachers need effective strategies to support children's language development. Before I begin, I would like to explain the objective of my presentation. By the end of this presentation, I will explain the concept of share reading and how this strategy supports language and literacy development among bilingual and multilingual preschool children. Secondly, I will describe how share reading improves children's reading skills, vocabulary, pronunciation, comprehension, and confidence in using English. Thirdly, I will demonstrate the benefit. I will demonstrate a practical language activity that teacher can apply in an early childhood classroom. And lastly, I will discuss the benefits and challenges of using multicultural literary resources in bilingual and multilingual classroom. Early literacy development is important because it becomes the foundation for children's communication skills, learning ability, and future academic success. However, in bilingual and multilingual classrooms, some children may experience difficulties in understanding new vocabulary and expressing their ideas and in English. Therefore, teachers need meaningful and interactive approaches to support children's language learning. One effective strategy that can be used in shared reading, which allows children to learn English through interaction, storytelling, discussion, and meaningful experience. Okay, so next, I will explain the meaning of shared reading. Shared reading is an instructional strategy where teachers and children read a story together in an interactive way. In shared reading, the teacher does not only read the story aloud, but also guides children to understand the meaning of the text through questioning, discussion, and vocabulary explanation. During the reading session, children actively participate by predicting what will happen next, answering the question, repeating new words, and sharing their ideas. For example, while reading a storybook, the teacher may ask, "What do you think will happen next?" or "What is this character doing?" Through this interaction, children develop their thinking skills and become active participants in the learning process. Shared reading is suitable for bilingual and multilingual classrooms because children can learn English through meaningful context. Instead of memorizing vocabulary separately, children understand new words through stories, pictures, actions, and conversation. These are several reasons why shared reading is effective. Firstly, it encourages active participation among children. And secondly, it supports bilingual and multilingual language development. Thirdly, it makes reading more enjoyable and meaningful. And lastly it helps children build confidence when communication in English. Okay, so we move to the next slide I will discuss the theoretical support behind shared reading. This strategy is supported by Vygotsky's social interaction theory. According to Vygotsky, children learn best through interaction with others, especially with teachers and peers who can provide guidance and support. In shared reading, the teacher acts a facilitator by providing scaffolding to help children understand the story and new vocabulary. For example, when children do not understand a new word, the teacher can support them by showing pictures, giving examples, or explaining the meaning using the simple language. As children become more confident, the teacher gradually reduces the support and allows children to become more independent learners. Besides that, discussion during reading activities allows children to develop language through social interaction. The teachers can ask questions, encourage children to share opinions, and guide them to construct their own understanding. And therefore, shared reading reflects Vygotsky's theory because both emphasize that children develop language through meaningful interaction and support from others. Okay, so next slide, I will explain the language activity based on the shared reading strategy. The activity chosen is share reading using a multicultural picture book. And the story selected is The Monkey and the Crocodile, which is a traditional Indian folk tale. This story is suitable for bilingual and multilingual classrooms because it helps children develop their English language skills while introducing them to another culture. The activity can be divided into 3 stages, which are before reading, during reading, and after reading. For the before reading stage, the teacher introduces the story title, characters, and important vocabulary. For example, the teacher introduces words such as monkey, crocodile, mango, and river. The teacher can use pictures or real objects to help children understand the meaning of these words. During the reading stage, the teachers read the story aloud using expressive intonation, facial expression, and gestures to attract children's attention. The teacher also pauses at certain parts of the story to ask prediction and comprehension questions. For example, what do you think will happen next? Or teacher can ask, why did the monkey make that decision? And after reading, children are encouraged to retell the story, share their opinions, and connect the story with their own experience. The teacher can also apply bilingual strategies by connecting children's first language with English. For example, Malay language is manga. English language is mango. This helps children understand new vocabulary because they can connect new English words with words that they already know. Okay, for the next slide, I will explain how shared reading supports language learning. Through shared reading, children learn vocabulary through meaningful stories instead of memorizing isolated words. For example is when children learn the word river from the story about the monkey and the crocodile, they can understand the meaning through the picture and the storyline. This makes vocabulary learning more effective because children understand how words are used in real situations. Visual illustration in pictures book also support children's understanding, especially for children who are still developing their English language skill. Furthermore, classroom discussion encourages children to practice listening and speaking skills. When children answer the questions, repeat vocabulary, and share their opinions, they develop confidence in using English. The repetition of vocabulary during shared reading also strengthens children's memory and pronunciation. Through this strategy, children develop several language skills, including reading skills, listening skills, speaking skills, vocabulary development, and reading comprehension. Okay, so the next slide is benefits of shared reading. These are several benefits of implementing shared reading in bilingual and multilingual classrooms. Firstly is shared reading improves children's English vocabulary because children are exposed to new words repeatedly through meaningful context. For the secondly is it strengthens reading comprehension because children discuss the meaning and events in the story. Thirdly is it encourages active participation because children are involved in questioning, predicting, and sharing ideas. Besides language development, share reading also builds children's confidence to communicate in English. In a multilingual classroom, this strategy also promotes cultural awareness because children are introduced to different stories, traditions, and perspectives. Therefore, shared reading not only supports language development but also contributes to children's cognitive and social emotional development. Okay, the next slide is multicultural literacy resources, issues and solutions. Next, I will discuss multicultural literacy resources used in shared reading. The story I selected is The Monkey and the Crocodile. It's selected as a multicultural literacy resources because it introduces children to Indian culture and traditions. Through this story, children can learn to respect cultural differences and understand values such as friendship, honesty, and kindness. However, the next slide is multicultural literacy resources, issues, and solutions. Next, I will discuss multicultural literacy resources used in shared reading. The story I selected is The Monkey and the Crocodile. It's selected as a multicultural literacy resources because it introduces children to Indian culture and traditions. Through this story, children can learn to respect cultural differences and understand values such as friendship, honesty, and kindness. However, this is the conclusion. To conclude the presentation, shared reading is an effective strategy for enhancing reading skills and vocabulary development among bilingual and multilingual children. Through interactive storytelling, children become active learners who participate, communicate, and develop confidence in using English. The use of multicultural literature also provides meaningful learning experience because children not only develop language skills but also learn to appreciate different cultures. Although there are challenges in selecting and implementing multicultural resources, appropriate guidance and creative teaching approaches can help teachers overcome this issue. Therefore, shared reading creates an engaging and supportive classroom environment that helps children become confident bilingual learners. As a conclusion, reading together allows children to learn together. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Kristina Dania binti Azhar and good morning to our respect lecturer which is Madam Haslina and my fellow friends. Today I am very happy to share my presentation on an important in early childhood education which is language and literacy development. Specifically, my presentation is about scaffolding early literacy through interactive writing and mentor text in multilingual early childhood education context. So, let's start by looking at our modern classroom. Today, early childhood classrooms are full of language and cultural diversity. We are no longer teaching children who speak only one language. Instead, we are helping emergent bilingual, also multilingual children who are learning one who are learning to use two or more languages at the same time. Writing is a fundamental skill in English language education. It is the main tool that helps children share their thoughts and ideas clearly in written form. However, for a young child, learning to write is a very big and difficult task. It is not just about holding a pencil. It requires the child to handle many language components at the same time, such as vocabulary, spelling, punctuation, and knowing how to use language in the right context. At the center of all this grammar gives language its rules and structure. When a child understands grammar rules, they can express their thoughts more accurately, clearly, and effectively, both when speaking and when writing. Therefore, as teacher, our main goal is to use teaching methods that support these growing skills, so we can helping children turn their spoken ideas into well-structured sentences. So, how can we help children bridge this gap? We can do this by combining two highly effective proven teaching strategy, which is I choose interactive writing and also the smart use of mentor text. Let us look at these two tools closely to see how they work. First, what is interactive writing? Interactive writing is developed by literacy experts like Mike Carrier, Pioneer, and Fontes. Interactive writing is a collaborative process where the teacher and the children work together as a team to create and write a text. In the classroom, this looks like a conversation. The teacher and students discuss and plan what they want to write. We often call this a shared pen activity. The teacher does not just write for the students. Instead, the teacher and the children physically share the pen or the digital screen stylus to write the words together. During this process, children directly learn the rules of print. They learn how to form letters, how to leave space between words, capital letters, and also punctuation marks. This method requires children to read and reread their text many times. This regular repetition helps them read more smoothly and acts as a check to make sure their writing is accurate and makes sense. Next, let us connect this with mentor text. According to Dorfman and Kepley, a mentor text is a high-quality book or text that teachers use as a good example to help students improve their own writing. These are not just books that we read only once. These are wonderful stories that both teachers and children enjoy reading, allowing them to revisit the books many times and also different learning goals. When we bring these two strategies together, we can create a perfect partnership. The mentor text acts as a model and giving children ideas and showing them a correct grammar rules. Then the interactive writing activity acts as the support system, letting children practice building sentences with the teacher's help. Together, they can make grammar easy to understand and turn turn writing into exciting, shared group experience. Next, to understand why this combination works so well, we need to look at the famous learning theory by Lev Vygotsky, which is called the zone of proximal development, or we can call it ZPD. As we can see from the live word cloud on the screen, many of you typed in the previous language interference. This perfectly describes the challenge of our bilingual children face every day. When children are learning two languages like Malay and English, teachers need to explicitly them to understand the different grammar rules for each language. Let's look at a clear example. In the Malay language, the describing words comes after the naming word, such as baju as noun and cantik as adjective. However, in English, the rule is the exact opposite. The describing word must come before the naming word, giving us beautiful as adjective, dress as noun. For a young bilingual child whose first language is Malay, translating this directly into English causes a natural grammar mistake. This is exactly where Vygotsky's zone of proximal development helps us. The ZPD is the golden space between what a learner can do completely on their own and what they can achieve with help from a more knowledgeable others, like teachers. So, if we leave children alone, they might stay confused by the different language patterns. But through interactive writing, the teacher steps into the child's ZPD. The teacher acts as a supportive partner, breaking down difficult grammar rules into small, easy steps. We meet the children right where their current skill ends, giving them the exact amount of guidance they need to eventually use the language independently. So let me share a real world classroom example to show you how this works in real life. Imagine a morning lesson in a preschool class. The teacher is doing a shared writing activity using a colorful, multicultural mentor text that shows traditional clothes from around the world. When they get to a page showing a beautiful traditional outfit, a young bilingual child points happily at the picture and says, "Teacher, I see dress beautiful. Look." At this moment, the child successfully shared their idea, but they use the Malay grammar rule with English word. An old strict teaching style might just say, "No, that is wrong. Repeat after me." But actually, that might hurt the child's confidence. So instead, look at how the teacher used interactive writing inside the ZPD. The teacher smiles, accepts the child's idea, and fixes the sentence naturally. For example, "Yes, you see a beautiful dress." Then the teacher explains the grammar rule in a simple way. In English, our describing word comes before our naming word. Let's say the sentence together as a class. "I see a beautiful dress." Next, the shared writing activity begins. The teacher points to the digital smartboard and says, "Who would like to come up and help me write the very first letter of our describing word?" Beautiful. The child walks up, takes the pen, and writes the letter B on the screen. The teacher helps finish the word, talks about the sounds, and invites another classmate to write the full stop at the end. What happened in this short activity? The children did not just sit and listen to boring grammar lessons. They actively practiced grammar rules while creating a real story together. By physically writing letters and punctuation marks, hard grammar ideas become practical writing skills they can see and easily understand. As professional teachers, we can also need to look at the challenges of this method. While this approach is wonderful, it also brings a few issues that we must manage carefully. For example, the first challenge related to cognitive load theory, which was created by John Sweller. Bilingual children use a lot of mental energy just processing a second language. If a teacher chooses a mentor text that has too many difficult sentence structure, complex expressions, or too many different language patterns all at once, the child's brain gets overwhelmed. Instead of helping them learn, we can create a mental jam. When children experience this overload, they become confused, find it hard to understand the theory. They struggle to remember the basic grammar rules we want them to learn. Therefore, picking the right text is very important. We must choose books with clear target language patterns. The second big challenge is make sure the books we use have appropriate culture and correct language. Today, multicultural education is popular, but not all books are good quality. Some books unfortunately use incorrect grammar to exaggerate ways of speaking to make a cultural group look different. If a teacher accidentally uses this kind of book as a mentor text, the results can be harmful. Young children trust books completely. As a result, they might learn incorrect grammar and develop inaccurate ideas about other cultures. As teachers, it is our duty to check every book carefully to make sure the language is correct and the culture is represented authentically. In conclusion, using interactive writing together with multicultural mentor text is a powerful way to support in the early child literacy. By using Vygotsky's zone of proximal development in our daily writing routines, we also can easily help children understand English grammar patterns. Also, by breaking sentences down into simple steps and choosing our books carefully, we can keep learning fun and stress-free. This method does not just teach children to follow grammar rules, it makes them feel like real outdoors. It respects their different cultures, honors their home languages, and give them a supportive space to share their ideas with style and elegance. Ultimately, this builds a strong foundation for our children to become successful bilingual readers and writers in the future. To wrap up our session today, please look at the screen again as I am now opening our live Q&A. Thank you very much for your time, your focus, and your digital participate today. I am very happy to answer any question and listen to any feedback of you. Thank you.